Hi, welcome to another episode of Mr. Marty. Today is Thursday, July 28th, 2016. So I want to talk to you today about Jim Greenman and his book, Prime Times. Let me show this to you real quick. This is the book, Prime Times by Jim Greenman. I had mentioned this book in another video just briefly in his relationship to Bright Horizons, but I want to kind of get more into Jim Greenman and this book, Prime Times, that he wrote. So I had never heard of this guy, and when I had went up to do the working interview in Salt Lake at Bright Horizons, I was getting ready to leave. This is towards the end of the day, and this is about 5:30. In the evening, and the director Allison, whom I'm always going to be grateful for. When I started this job search, and I said, look, I want to be an infant teacher. I want to be the best infant teacher, and I need a mentor. I need to learn from the best, and I said that at the outset. And I think, as far as a mentor goes, I think I've found that in Allison up in Salt Lake. Regardless of whether or not I actually get to work there, I'm still kind of waiting on where on that. But she's been a mentor to me, and I really appreciate that. And so I had never heard of this guy Jim Greenman, and I was getting ready to leave, and Allison says, "Hey, listen, she pulls this book off the bookshelf, and she says, hey, this is written by Jim Greenman. This is kind of our Bible at Bright Horizons, and he worked for Bright Horizons, and Jim Greenman literally wrote the book on early childhood education, and kind of getting us, similar to Janet Lansbury, kind of getting us to look at infant and toddler care from kind of a different perspective. And one of the things so she showed me the book, and she didn't have another copy. She just had the copy at her daycare. And so I flew back to Phoenix, to Mesa, and ordered it on Amazon. Got it in a couple of days. And I've been really busy at work. I've been busy kind of reading some other stuff and going on blogs and reading other books. But I have been digging into this, and my goal is to memorize this book, is to absolutely absorb this book and make it a part of my life, a part of my role as an infant teacher. And one of the things that's so exciting to me about Jim Greenman and his work, and by the way, he's no longer with us. He passed away on he passed away in April of 2009, and I ran across this amazing obituary on Child Care Exchange blog, and it's a great quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, where he says, "It is not the length of life, but the depth of life," and that's kind of the tribute that they had written here for Jim Greenman. That it's not the length of life, but the depth of life, and he certainly made his mark in early childhood education, and certainly made his mark on Bright Horizons. There's probably no other guy, I think, that's influenced a corporation, a child care provider more than Jim Greenman. And one of the things I think is so exciting about Jim Greenman and Janet Lansbury that I talked about in another video is that, and this is just kind of a personal thing about Mr. Marty. So Mr. Marty will come up with ideas, and I've kind of shared some with Allison, and I've said, hey, I've got this idea, for an infant room, and I've got this idea, in infant teaching and things of this nature. And so I have these ideas, and then I think, wow, and it's kind of ego. You're kind of like, wow, Mr. Marty, you came up with this great idea. This is a wonderful idea. And I think I'm pretty smart, until I find out that actually Jim Greenman and Janet Lansbury, they actually had the idea way before I did, and have been writing about it and lecturing and things of this nature. And one of the things I just, again, I wanted to share this with you. I wanted to do this video about Jim Greenman. I wanted to come on here and talk about it. It was the other day I started thinking about, the Hippocratic Oath that all physicians have to take. And, if you're a doctor in this country, I mean, everybody's familiar with the Hippocratic Oath that was, started 3,000 years ago in Greece, Hippocrates. And the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. That first, do no harm. As a physician, whatever you do, first, make sure you don't hurt the patient. Make sure you do no harm. And I was thinking to myself, and I thought, you know what? And by the way, I'm having my morning coffee, so sometimes it kind of like the coffee starts coming up. If you guys are like watching these videos, like, what's wrong with him? It's like, no, I'm just having my little morning cup of Joe, and sometimes it's a little harsh in there, it kind of sticks in, But anyways, so I have these ideas, and I think, wow. And so I came with this idea of a Hippocratic Oath for infant teachers, for daycare providers, that you have a Hippocratic Oath, and first, do no harm, or first, don't make the babies cry, don't do anything to distress or harm that child or whatever. And so I came up and thinking this is like a great idea. This is my idea. Come to find out, Jim Greenman actually had the idea long before I did. So I turned to page 101 in this book, and I actually kind of underlined it, and you can kind of see it there. I'm going to show it to you. But he says, going beyond do no harm. And he says the first imperative as a human service is, of course, the same lesson that health providers are taught. Do no harm. And it is just as true as in any other human service organization. It is easy for child care providers to do harm by, and he lists this, contributing to the family's rat race, undermining the family's values, the family of the child in the center, showing a lack of respect for the family's culture and lifestyle. And he talks about this, and I'm so excited because that's how I'm thinking. All the things that Jim Greenman and Angela Lansbury talk about in their books and the blogs and all these writings that they produced out there, that's in bookstores and on the internet and all this stuff, that they've thought about this long before I ever did, and came up with these ideas and honed them, and it's awesome. And one of the things that he says this, showing a lack of respect for a family's culture or lifestyle, that's doing harm. That if you're an infant teacher, if you're a daycare provider, and you're showing disrespect to that baby's, that toddler's family that they come from, that culture, that's wrong. That's doing harm. And no one who's in this quote business, the business of educating small children, of caring for infants and toddlers, you should never be doing any kind of harm to the infant or the toddler or the family, and disrespecting their culture and their values, and that's huge. I go on these websites, because this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm going to be an infant teacher, and that's what I'm going to do. And one way or another, I'm going to be an infant teacher. My preference is to be an infant teacher at Bright Horizons, and I'm in the pipeline and kind of waiting to hear back from that. But I'm going to be an infant teacher. One way I'm going to be an infant, and so this is my the rest of my life. This is my career, and this is and I'm doing a lot of thinking about this, and I'm doing a lot of talking and writing about this, and I go on these websites, and I hear these comments from daycare providers and from infant teachers, and they make these disparaging comments about the children's families. Oh, I wish so-and-so would stop doing this or that, or I really don't like his, or I don't like the fact that like I've heard people make comments about maybe the baby has two dads, maybe the baby has two moms, and they don't like that. There's maybe a little homophobia going on or something, and it's like that's wrong. That's wrong. Folks, if you're harboring biases or prejudices or and you don't like certain people and you don't like certain cultures and you don't like, you're in the wrong. If you're in childcare, you're in the wrong business. You're in the wrong business because our business of being infant teachers, our business in caring for these infants and toddlers should be in how do we strengthen them, how do we educate them, and strengthen and educate the family. You have an opportunity as an infant teacher, and Jim Greenman talks about this. Jim Greenman talks about this in this book, Prime Times, okay? And Angela Lansbury talks about it. You have an opportunity as an infant teacher to not just teach the baby. So you're in this infant room and it's a 6-month-old and wow, the baby's just kind of starting to kind of sit up and they're starting to just kind of pull themselves up, and you have an opportunity to teach that baby, but you also have an opportunity to teach the mom and the dad, or the two dads, or the two moms, or the grandma. You have an opportunity to teach that family, oh hey, here at our center, we don't engage in that type of verbal kind of shaming or something else like that. We believe in positive reinforcement, positive motivations for the baby and the toddler, and positive interactions between everybody, and so you have this opportunity to teach everyone. Going back to what I was saying about us being a learning community, your daycare and your infant room, of being a learning community where everyone's learning. Everyone's learning. The teachers, the infants, the directors, everybody's learning. And this is what Jim Greenman talks about in Prime Times. And I highly urge you to get this book, to read this book, make this book a part of your life. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm grateful to Allison, who's kind of become my de facto mentor, kind of long distance, because I'm down here in Mesa, she's up there in Salt Lake. But I'm so grateful that she told me about Jim Greenman, told me about Angela Lansbury or excuse me, I'm sorry, Janet Lansbury. Angela Lansbury is an actress. Janet Lansbury, the author. We want to clear that up. I was thinking about a movie from years ago. So I'm so grateful for this, and I just wanted to come on and say that, and again, another positive thing. Jim Greenman, it is so sad that he's not with us anymore to contribute to this conversation, but what he's left us with is this rich legacy. Jim Greenman made a positive contribution to infants and toddlers, and we can make a positive contribution to infants and toddlers and their families, and to kind of move this conversation, kind of move this ball forward about how we can deliver the very best infant and toddler care and teaching that we can provide. So another episode of Mr. Marty. Go out and have an awesome day. I'm going to have an awesome day, and I really want to bring Mr. Snuggles back for another little funny video, and I definitely want to bring him back here tomorrow. So I hopefully we'll see Mr. Snuggles tomorrow. So have an awesome day, folks. I love and thank you for watching the video. I'm hoping that this is interesting, hoping that you like it, hoping that you maybe get something out of this. And that's kind of my goal in this. So thank you again for watching, and thank you for having an interest in bettering infant and toddler care. And until then, this is Mr. Marty signing off and telling you just, hey, have a great day and be the positive change that you want to see in others. Be that positive change. Thanks. Have a great day.